You hear those horns, you know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome everyone to episode 26 of the Tristain on Sports Show Toss. It's your friendly neighborhood T-Squared. Tristain Thomas here with you. I know we missed last week. We had a technical snafu, wasn't able to deliver that heat fresh from the kitchen for you. But we are back this week and I have got some things to talk about that absolutely fire me up. Oh, trust me, we about to get into it. Let's begin on State of the State on this episode 26 of Toss. And let's begin with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, last week I had this whole idea of talking about the map, and we know what the map is. We're talking Middleton, Antetokounmpo, and Parker being the quote-unquote big three. And look, until you do something significant, you cannot be named a big three. Okay, can we just retire that run-of-the-mill generic nickname for three good players coming together on the same team and doing some things? Until they win a championship, until they're like elite level players, can we just retire that nickname? And they can't be a big three yet. Okay, they're not quite there. But I had this whole idea of talking about how phenomenal they've been and how we've seen Giannis flourish, absolutely flourish at the point guard spot. We have the whole hashtag Point Giannis going now, and I think it's here to stay. I think Giannis is here to stay at the point guard position. I think it's the perfect position for him. He's learning the game at a completely different level. He's stuck at the hip by Jason Kidd, who we all know eventually is going to be a Hall of Fame point guard. I had this whole thing ready for you guys last week, and it's funny how you have some things that happen one week and then you're not able to talk about it. And then the next week you see something and it completely changes the complexion of your ideas and your entire show. For those of us that have a show. For as good as Jabari has been doing and Giannis has been doing and Middleton has been doing, you see complete and total regression this season. That cannot be ignored. What am I talking about? I'm talking about last night's game against the Detroit Pistons. I'm talking about how you cough up a lead. How you decide not to make your free throws, Jerry Bayless. How you decide not to box out on the leading offensive rebounder in the entire NBA and allow him to get that offensive rebound and tip the ball back in to beat you guys after you blew a lead. I'm talking about complete and total regression of the fundamentals of defense, of rebounding, of boxing out, of making the proper pass, of making your damn free throws. The simple stuff, the little things that make all the difference. People wonder why I harp on the fundamentals. People wonder why I talk about the little things building up to be one big great thing. And this one big great thing ended up being you guys losing the game. Because you didn't do the little things to win the game. This is why I harp on the fundamentals. This is why I harp on the little things. These little things aren't so little, especially when they cost you a game. And they did that. And the thing is, this has been happening all season long. It has been a complete and total regression. The question was posed on someone's social media, maybe yesterday, maybe a couple of days ago. And I believe it was just last night. And I believe it was the Fan out of Milwaukee, the radio station. Do you still get mad about the Bucks losing? And some of the responses I saw on there were absolutely disgusting. Some people are like, oh, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, they're not making the playoffs anyway. Get more ping pong balls. Newsflash, dummies that wrote that. Just because you have the most ping pong balls does not mean you win the lottery. It just simply says you have the best chance of winning. But how many times have we seen it where a team with fewer ping pong balls goes and wins the number one pick? Too many to count. Too many to count. That's number one. Number two, this draft does not excite me. Look at the talent that could quite possibly be coming out. Ben Simmons is coming out. Look, he's a phenomenal talent. in college. He could grow into being something more in the NBA, but I need to see more out of him because he couldn't even carry his team to the NCAA tournament. I mean, for as good as he is, for all the double doubles and the triple doubles and everything he was doing at his age, for his incredible skill set, he couldn't carry LSU to the NCAA tournament. Could he make a difference on somebody's squad? Maybe, but I think, and I may be the minority in this, but I think he's a bit of a project. I don't think he's going to be able to come and step right into the NBA and be a big time star. From what I've seen, I think can he produce? I think he could step in and produce, but is he going to be who everybody was comparing him to early on in the college basketball season to LeBron? No. LeBron is the only guy I've seen that stepped into the league and who was highly touted since pretty much middle school and has lived up to all of the hype. He's the only one I've seen done that. So do not put that type of pressure on this young guy. I don't foresee anybody coming out in this draft being a talent that can turn your entire franchise around. It's not a Michael Jordan situation. It's not a Patrick Ewing situation. It's not a Tim Duncan situation. I see no players with that level of talent coming out in this year's draft. So why would you want more ping pong balls to go and get another player that you're going to have as a project? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. You want more ping pong balls to go and get a guy who's probably going to sit on your bench. Well, hell, everybody's going to sit on the bench with Jason Kidd at the helm. You don't even know who's going to start the next game. He's got reserves starting the fourth quarter. Trying to make a huge comeback because it worked once. Oh, it's got to work again? No. So those are two things. I don't see how you could be a true fan and want to see your team lose. Now, I can understand if there was a talent, the level of a Michael Jordan or a Patrick Ewing or a Tim Duncan, three guys who came in and turned their franchises completely around. I can understand if there was that level of talent coming out in this draft to where you would want as many ping pong balls as possible to have the best possible chance of getting that player. But there is not. So why do you want to waste time watching the Bucks only to root for them to lose? To get more ping pong balls on guys that, quite frankly, are probably going to be mediocre. I don't understand it, and it's disgusting to me. You call yourselves fans and you want to see your team lose. I want to see progression. I want to see a team that's learning and growing, and that's going to make me feel good about next season. Like, okay, they're starting to get it. And at times we had that. You've seen Giannis flourish at the point guard spot. You've seen Jabari Parker get fully healthy. You see what he can give you. You've seen Chris Middleton find his stroke and keep his shot consistently. And you've seen the type of player that he can be. But that isn't enough for me. Because you still see what happens. And what happens is that Detroit game where the little things you need to execute, because in the bigger picture of things, it's going to win you a game you can't do. I don't see how anybody could be happy about that. I don't see how anybody can sit here and root for them to continue to play like that and have those kinds of performances just to get ping pong balls that aren't going to assure you a damn thing. Some of y'all really need to go and get your heads checked, because I don't understand how you can be happy with your team losing, how you can say with such a blasé attitude, oh, I don't care about them losing anymore. It's all about getting ping pong balls. They're not going to make the playoffs anyway. Hey, I stuck a fork in them in the playoffs a long time ago. That does not mean that I don't want them to win. That doesn't mean that I'll root for them each and every single game to go out there and win and to progress and to grow as a team. Because right now, there are so many questions I have about this squad going into next season. It's not even funny. You got questions about Jason Kidd. You got questions about John Hammond. You got questions about individual players on this squad who are out for the season and are currently on the roster as is. There is so much uncertainty that I really don't feel too great. I mean, again, you've seen what Giannis has done, Parker has done, Middleton has done. Those have been really the big three bright spots of this season. to see them continue to grow and flourish as individual players. But when it comes down to it, as a complete and total team, the Milwaukee Bucks are not where they need to be. And trying to get as many ping pong balls in this lackluster draft is despicable. And anybody out there who wants this is absolutely despicable. Shouldn't be allowed into the Bradley Center. Shouldn't be allowed to the new Bucks Arena they're getting ready to break ground on later this summer. You can't be a real fan and want your teams to lose when you have a lackluster draft coming up in June. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. The Bucks' play last night was absolutely disgusting. Their execution of the little things was absolutely disgusting. The fact that people want them to lose and they're not going to be assured a damn thing in this year's draft is absolutely disgusting. Somebody please slap some sense into these people. Please slap some sense into these people, because I don't have enough hands to do it. I've got two hands and not enough time to go and smack everybody upside the head. And it's not everybody. There's people out there with high basketball IQs and understands what they want and what they need out of a basketball team, especially in this kind of a situation. You're not going to make the playoffs. You're really just trying to see what you have. You're trying to get guys to play together and to grow together to be that nucleus for the future. You want to see them execute the small games, to go out there and win games, because honestly, wins are the result of a team getting better. There are no moral victories. There just aren't. There aren't any moral victories. Winning is a result of the hard work being put in. Winning is a result of a team growing. Executing the little things shows you that a team is starting to get it and they're understanding how to win. And quite frankly, this team doesn't understand how to win. And that starts at the head coaching spot. Is Jason Kidd the right guy for this ball club? Let me tell you my theory. There's no question he'll be back next season. There's absolutely, positively no question about that. But if there is no progression next season, if there's no playoffs, if there's no playoff chase next season, I don't think he needs to come back for a fourth season. Because the third year in a coach's tenure is really the telltale sign. This team is either on the right track and they're going to take off, or we need to go and make a change. There needs to be some sort of progression. He regressed this season. We spoke about this many times here on Toss. Last season should have been this season. This season should have been last season. It would have been a natural progression. Guys are learning and growing and getting better. But instead, you've regressed, especially defensively. You have completely and totally regressed, and that falls on the coach's head. So he will absolutely come back for his third year. And if there is some sort of progression, whether it be playoffs, whether it be a playoff chase, I believe he'll be back for a fourth year. And then that will be the all-in season. Hey, you either make the playoffs, we see improvement on the defensive end and the offensive end, or you're gone. That's my theory with that. Can these guys learn something from Jason Kidd? Absolutely. As we said before, he's going to be a Hall of Fame point guard. But there comes a time where you need to take a good look at how this team has been playing, because they are a direct reflection of the coaching they've been given. And when you can't execute the little things, i.e. making your free throws, i.e. making the proper pass, i.e. boxing out on a rebound, much less the boxing out on the top offensive rebounding big man in all of the NBA and Andre Drummond for a tip in to win the game. That's what pisses me off. It's the fact that all of the details are ignored. They take all these freaking tests. You could go on the Bucks Snapchat and see it. They take all these damn tests and all this and that, and none of it equals to them winning ball games. None of it equals them sitting there being a better defensive ball club. None of it equals wins. None of it has equal progression. It's all total regression. So he's going to have a year to prove himself next year. And it's going to be an all-in season. Hey, make the playoffs. We want to see improvements on the defensive end and the offensive end, but especially the defensive end. Otherwise, we got some decisions to make in the summer there, partner. There's no excuse for this kind of regression. And there's no excuse for so-called fans, and I'm doing air quotes as I'm saying this, fans to want to see a team lose and get extra ping pong balls when A, more ping pong balls don't equal the number one pick, and B, hell, it's in a lackluster draft. It just is. This draft does not excite me. There's not one player that's going to turn an entire franchise around. But yet you guys are out there hoping, not all of you, but a lot of you are out there, and you know who the hell you are hoping that we get more ping pong balls when we're not assured of jack squat. Disgusting. You should be damned ashamed of yourself. Hand in your fan card. Just hand it in. And disappear. Because that's not real love. That's not real support. That's stupidity. We got to get off of this topic because I can keep going and going and going. I told you it's been a couple of weeks. We missed you last week, and we got to bring it to you real. We got to bring it to you fresh out of the kitchen, and it's pure heat. We have to do it. This is what we do here on Toss. So we got to move on to state to state, and we got to get to another situation that absolutely pisses me off. The Green Bay Packers. You know I love my Packers. I love them. God, I just love them. They are the football team. 13-time world champions. Still play in the mecca of football. One of the mecca of all sports. Lambeau Field. You got to love them. And as much as I sit here and say that I love the draft and develop ways of Ted Thompson, and I do. I understand it. It's a good move. It's brought you a world championship. It keeps you in constant world championship contention. As smart of a guy as I think that Ted Thompson is and the team around him, but really he has the final say on things. As smart as I think he is, I think he's equally as dumb. Yeah, I know that's going to raise some eyebrows out there. I know if it's some Packers players and Packer personnel listening, they're probably throwing their smartphones at what I'm saying, or maybe they don't even give a damn what I'm saying. But I'm going to give it to you real. I'm going to give it to you hot because that's what we do here on Toss. It's truthful, opinionated, and passionate, and we about to go there. For as smart as I think Ted Thompson is, I think he's equally as dumb. Why do I say that? Let me give you some examples. Did we pursue Matt Forte, a guy who I broke down on this very show, broke down why he makes so much sense for this Green Bay Packers ball club? Now, they went back and they signed James Starks to a 2-year deal worth $6 million. It's hard to argue with that move. That's the smart Ted Thompson. It's hard to argue with that move. He was coming off of a career high last season. He's run you into a world championship. People forget that. He was the best playoff runner in all of the NFL that year. Ran the Packers into a world championship pretty much. He was the hot hand in the running game when we didn't have a running game whatsoever until he came along and we rolled him all the way to the Super Bowl. It's hard to argue with that signing. It's a good signing. It's 2 years. It's a good money deal. He's been a good number 2 punch to Eddie Lacy's number 1. Hard to argue with that. But this was at the point in time that you were in danger of losing James Starks. Now, you've seen the deal that Matt Forte went and signed. It wasn't anything outrageous. It was a deal that Ted Thompson could have easily had his team fit into the cap space scheme of the Green Bay Packers. We broke down how good he would be in this scheme for the Green Bay Packers in both running the football and catching the football. There is no evidence on any type of game tape from last season of him having lost a step, and the people who say he has, they're very much stupid, and they probably came in last place in your fantasy football leagues all over the place. He didn't even pursue him. Didn't make an offer. Probably didn't make a phone call. Didn't send a fax, didn't send an email, didn't send a tweet, nothing. It didn't go down in the DMs, nothing. He didn't go after him. Instead, he goes to the Jets. Did Ted Thompson pursue Danny Trevathan? Middle linebacker with speed. can play the run, can play the pass, smart. Won a world championship with the Broncos this year. The hottest free agent, or one of the hottest free agents in all of the NFL. Did Ted Thompson pursue him? No. Instead, he goes to your rival, the Chicago Bears, to reunite with his former head coach, John Fox, on a 4-year, $24 million deal. On top of that, what did he say? These are the words of Danny Trevathan. He said, when they asked about the Packers, no, they didn't make a move, but I wish they had. They didn't make a move, but I wish they had. This move is something I said made too much sense and it probably wouldn't happen. So I shouldn't be shocked. I shouldn't be surprised. I shouldn't be as mad as I am, but I am, because when that player has already signed with your rival and said he wished you would have made a move because he wanted to come and play with you. He wanted to come and play with you. And you didn't even contact that guy. That is a failure on you in trying to build your team into a world championship team. There is a need at the middle linebacker spot, and you know there's been a need at the middle linebacker spot almost entirely the entire time you've been in Green Bay as a general manager, and you did nothing to address that need with this guy who has been nothing but all world at the middle linebacker spot. Has won a world championship, knows what it takes to call a defense, knows what it takes to go and win a world championship, knows what it takes to be one of the best in the NFL at that position, can fit directly into your scheme, and you decided to stay on the sidelines and not even pick up a damn phone? This is what pisses me off, because you can't always depend on draft to develop to fill out each and every single spot on your squad. Free agency is there because the trades in the NFL really don't exist. There are really never any straight up trades player for player in the NFL. That really does not happen. Everybody is shocked when it does. The last one I can remember that comes to mind is Clinton Portis for Champ Bailey. That's the last one I can really think of off the top of my head. And everybody was shocked. Two great players at their positions switching teams straight up. No other picks, no money, player for player. It does not happen in the NFL. Free agency is your chance to go and address the needs of your team with impact players. I don't think Trevathan was overpaid. I don't think that was not a gaudy deal whatsoever. 4 years, $24 million. I don't think that's a gaudy deal. And it is a position of need. You know it's a position of need, but yet you decide to go and re-sign Nick Perry. A guy that was supposed to be the opposite of the bookend to Clay Matthews, and that's never come to fruition. There's some stat where he's got the third most sacks in Packers postseason history or something like that. Great. Where is he in the regular season? Usually hurt. But what significance has he played in the regular season? None, really. Not that I can think of. This is why, as smart as I think Ted Thompson is, I think he's incredibly dumb sometimes. Because you have these position of needs. You have players in those positions that are impact players that fit what you want to do, or at least what the coaches want to do. And you decide to sit on the sidelines, on your hands. Don't pick up a phone. Don't pick up a pager. Don't fax nobody. Don't email anyone. You don't DM anybody. You don't subtweet anybody. You do nothing. You just sit on your damn hands. And he wanted to come here and play with the Green Bay Packers. Now you got to deal with him on two separate occasions each and every single year on the Chicago Bears. This is why everybody is so frustrated. Some people don't have a right to be frustrated because they just want Ted Thompson to spend just because we have the money, and they want brand names. Even if they don't fit the scheme, those type of people don't have a right to be mad because they're not of high they're not of high football IQ. They just want money spent just to spend it. I don't want money spent just to spend it. I want money spent wisely. And Matt Forte, Danny Trevathan, either one of those guys would have made an impact in the position of need in a scheme that fits them both Both of them would have fit your team, would have not broken the bank of your free agency money, and would have provided a tremendous impact to your squad. And you decided not to do it. Your job as a GM is to build a team that's supposed to go out there and win world championships. There's more than the draft to be able to do that in. And not only that, you have a lot of apologists out there for Ted Thompson who say, well, he covets his draft picks and if he were to go after guys, they would want draft picks and he just can't give them up because they're too valuable to him. They're a little bit too damn valuable for him. Because here's another name that the Packers were rumored to want this guy, and he's another guy off the Bears. Martellus Bennett, the damn good tight end, one of the better tight ends in all of the NFL, who would be highly productive in this system that's really lacking a stretch kind of tight end. Martellus Bennett is a guy who's produced at his spot tremendously. Would have come into Green Bay and produced at that spot tremendously. No doubt about that. Instead, he gets traded to New England. You want to know what he got traded for? A 6th round pick. I repeat, 1 6th round pick for Martellus Bennett. So you mean to tell me that you could have traded for Martellus Bennett and you wouldn't have lost any of your draft picks because the New England sent the draft pick along with them for him? You wouldn't have lost any of your draft picks. So you would have gotten a hell of a tight end that's going to help your offense tremendously, and you don't lose any draft picks. That was a deal tailor-made for Ted Thompson. And he didn't pull the trigger. Now, some people out there are going to say, well, but Tristain, they're in the same division. The Bears would never trade a player of that caliber to the Green Bay Packers. And you know what? Maybe you're right. But don't act like it hasn't happened before. I think the last trade between the Packers and the Bears was in 1997. So almost 20 seasons ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know on the Facebook page, facebook.com/TOnSportsShow. Let me know. But don't act like it never happens, because it does. But this is a move tailor-made for him. So instead of trading for Martellus Bennett, which would have cost you 1 draft pick and you would have gotten a draft pick in return, you bring in a free agent, and we spoke about this on Toss a couple of weeks ago. Ted Thompson likes to bring in the B and C and D tier free agents. You decide to bring in one Jared Cook. Jared frickin' Cook. Look, here, let's compare Jared Cook and Richard Rodgers. Okay, this is career for career. Jared Cook has been in the NFL for 7 seasons. He has 273 receptions, 3,503 yards, and 16 touchdowns for his entire 7-year career. He has a 12.1 yards per catch average. It shows his ability to stretch the field. That's a good thing. But he's a horrible blocker. Go back and look at the game tape. And he has a horrible attitude. Go back and ask anybody in St. Louis. Hell, go back and ask anybody in Tennessee before that. This is not a guy you really want in your locker room unless you're going to make sure that Mike McCarthy gets on his ass and make sure he stays on the straight and narrow. And even if you have assurance from Mike McCarthy that he's going to do that, I still wouldn't want this chump on my team. I really wouldn't. Here's Richard Rodgers' numbers. And this is Richard Rodgers' 2 seasons. Been in the league 2 seasons. He's 5 years younger than Jared Cook. 78 catches, 735 yards, and 10 touchdowns. He had 8 touchdowns this season. So that gives him 10 touchdowns for his career in 2 years. Jared Cook has 16 touchdowns for his entire career, and that's 7 seasons. Richard Rodgers has almost equaled his touchdown output in 2 seasons. Richard Rodgers is coming off of a 58-catch season with 8 touchdown receptions. I think there's a bit of progression there with him. I say if this is your only option, because Martellus Bennett, he's gone. That option is gone for you. You're not going to be able to get that. But if this is your only free agent option, you leave him on the scrap heap where he belongs. You keep progressing and growing with the Richard Rodgers and see what you got there. Because year 3, again, is that leap year. You're either going to progress and be a phenomenal player, or you're just going to be what you are. No more progression. But this is what I mean. This is exactly what I mean by Ted Thompson being, for as smart as he is, sometimes he is incredibly dumb. And he is turning a complete blind eye to free agency. Now, everybody can sit there and they can point at the Charles Woodsons of the world. They could point at the Ryan Pickett's of the world, the Julius Peppers of the world. Picks that have actually worked. Pickups in free agency that have actually worked. That's great. When he plucks into free agency, it usually works, but it doesn't always work. And when he has somebody in free agency that will make an impact on his team in a position of need, he sits on his hands and turns his head, takes one of his hands from underneath his behind and sips his tea. As if free agency doesn't even exist. When will he ever learn that there's more than one way to build a team? When will he learn that sometimes you need to dip into free agency? I don't think he's ever going to learn. I think he's going to retire doing what he does. And then he had the audacity to come on Packers.com in an interview with Larry McCarron and said, quote, "I don't usually have a plan going into free agency," end quote. Are you kidding me? I don't know why that rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't know how it makes you guys feel, but it really fires me up. How do you not have a plan coming to free agency? You're supposed to be the guy at the helm of building this team. You're supposed to have a finger on the pulse of this team, their needs, what the coaches need. Why are you not listening to your coaches? Mike McCarthy came out weeks ago and said, "Oh, we may shock you in free agency." To which that same week I came on Toss and said, the only thing I'm shocked about is how much Ted Thompson does not participate in free agency. And there's not going to be many times I'm more right than Mike McCarthy. But damn it, I'm right this time. And I'm right each and every single year because the same old Ted comes out when it comes to free agency. And I don't know why I'm so fired up about it. I think I'm more fired up about it this year because you had 2 players who fits your scheme perfectly and will make an immediate impact on your squad in positions of need, and you decide not to go after it. That's what makes me mad. It's not Ted Thompson's total lack of going into free agency and picking up. Because again, I don't want him to spend money just because the Packers have it. I want him to go and get guys in positions of need who are going to make an impact for years to come. And you had 2 of those players in free agency, and you decided to do nothing. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. So the shocking, and again, I'm doing air quotes when I'm saying this, the shocking free agency continues. Not a damn thing's being done except re-signing your own players. I guess we can say it's the same old Ted. Let's not be shocked about it. The next interesting thing that's going to happen is training camp. Guess we got to hold our breaths till then. Coming up on Toss, we got to run the Toss sweep. We got to talk college basketball. The NCAA tournament is underway, and everybody's brackets are slaughtered. I'll give you an update on mine. And we got to talk some NFL stupidity. We got some absolute idiots to talk about coming to the NFL. All that and more coming up next. Facebook.com/TOnSportsShow is the Toss Facebook page. It's the place that you can get each and every single topic that we don't touch on during the show. So you want some more of my thoughts, my creativity, my bits, bites, and anecdotes, go ahead and give us a look. And give us a follow too, or like our page, whichever one you want to do. That's Facebook.com/TOnSportsShow. That's TON Sports Show. Welcome back to Toss, everybody. Episode 26. It's your main man, T-Squared. Tristan Thomas here with you. Thank you for joining us yet again. It's time for us to run the toss sweep. The NCAA tournament started last week, and again, we're so sorry we could not be with you guys due to a technical snafu to get you guys hyped up and ready for this NCAA tournament. I tried to give you guys a bit of an update on the Toss Facebook page and also my Twitter at the20double. Here's an update on my brackets. My brackets are absolutely slaughtered, man. And I think a lot of you guys' brackets are slaughtered too. Mine was ruined on the very first, I don't remember if it was the Thursday or the Friday that Michigan State played, but the minute they lost, I lost. I had them in the national championship game. I had them going to the Final Four and moving on to the national championship game. So my bracket, slaughtered, done, horrible, awful, terrible, no good, very bad. Needless to say, it was disappointing. I thought they would put up a better performance than that, but they didn't. They let a tiny school beat them, and I don't even have my bracket in front of me. How embarrassing. I thought I did. But I remember some of the picks. I remember some of the more memorable losses I've had on my bracket. We got to touch on the Wisconsin teams for a second here. Again, congrats to the UWGB men for making it to the tournament. Nobody thought they would. Nobody thought they would get past Valpo in the Horizon League tournament. They did that in overtime. They went on to won the damn thing, made it to the first round, and they were in it for a half against Texas A&M. But as I said before, Texas A&M just a little bit more physical. Both teams got good guard play. I believe the Green Bay led the nation in scoring as a team, I believe. But that just didn't come to fruition. They were in it for a half, and they ended up losing, I believe it was 92-65. So, congrats on a great season. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You guys definitely showed up, at least for the first half of that. And, the better team just won that day. Kudos to the Wisconsin Badgers. The UW-Madison Badgers. I had the win in the first game against Pitt, even though it was a lot more close than it should have been. But I did say on Home Court Sports, and again, you can listen to those guys on Blog Talk Radio every Wednesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. You might catch yours truly on there as well. What's up to all the fellas over there? I did say that game was going to be close, but the Badgers will pull it out, and that's exactly what happened. I did not have them winning the next game in the round of 32. I will readily admit that. I just thought the way they played against Nebraska in the Big Ten tournament, the way they ended the season against Purdue, they did not play well. They did not play well for that first half against Pitt, only scoring 16 points. It was an awful half to watch for both teams. You cannot call that a defensive struggle. Those guys set offensive basketball back about 50 years. Both squads. It was that bad. They came back. They won the game in the 40s. I believe it was, 47, 43, something like that. I did not expect them to win on Sunday night. I did not expect them to win that game against Xavier. I thought Xavier was really a team that was going to make a deep run this year. I think they had it all together. Everything was there for them. And it was back and forth. Very exciting. Bronson Koenig, 2 clutch threes in the closing seconds of that game. One to tie the game, and then the final one to win it. Kudos to those guys. They're putting it together. They're looking like that team that turned it around from that 1-4 start in the Big Ten and went 12-6 eventually overall in the Big Ten. So they've kind of got that look back, and Bronson Koenig is now hitting shots again, went 6-12 from 3. So you got to watch out for them, because if Bronson Koenig is hitting shots, if Nigel Hayes gets on track, Vito Brown can hit shots, Ethan Happ can do it down in the low post. Those guys get going, man. They may shock some teams, so I'm looking forward to the Sweet 16 matchup. It's going to be a really good one. I'm looking forward to that. But kudos to those guys. I did not see them getting past the round of 32, but they're in the Sweet 16, so we'll see what they'll do. But other than that, my bracket is just slaughtered. It is just awful. It's bad. It's bad. Let me know how bad your brackets are out there. Again, go to facebook.com/TOnSportsShow. Let me know there. Tweet me at the20double. Let me know how bad your brackets are, because I think we're all sitting here with some bracket blues. And you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that. We've had a lot more game winners. This tournament that we have had and in the other tournament, it's really been exciting. And I'll touch on that. Well, you know what? I'm going to say this right now. There's some commentators out there who are saying they're not enjoying the tournament. They're not enjoying the parity. Why do you cover sports? So you can see all the winners win, all the majors win. You want to rewrite history and have Goliath win against David? Is that why? The whole point of sports, at least why I cover sports and why I love sports, is the drama of it. It's seeing the grit and the determination and the drama of an underdog or a team, period. But there's something about an underdog that just gets you fired up and you just root for them because they put in as much hard work as those major teams. They're playing the same game as those major teams. And when they come out and they beat it and everybody's shocked, the heart and the determination they put out on that floor or that court, on that field, whatever the sport, that's what I love about sports, the drama of it, the determination, and the fun of it. So if you don't like having fun, if you don't like the drama, if you don't like the parody, if you don't like the grit and the determination and the heart that these kids are showing, then maybe you shouldn't be covering sports. That's just my opinion. Moving on a toss sweep, I mentioned before the break, we had to talk some NFL stupidity, and boy, do we have to do it. It may be old news, but it's new news to you guys who are listening to Toss because we weren't here last week, so we got to give it to you. We got to talk Martavis Bryant, Steelers wide receiver. Guy was starting to flourish, become a major factor in that offense alongside Antonio Brown. Big target, could run well. Big red zone target, almost like a Plaxico Burress type player. Well, he's suspended for a year. Yeah, suspended for a year. Drugs. I.e., I think we all know what it is. It's weed, because that's the same thing he got busted for last year. 4-game suspension for that. His second offense in 2 years. Again, he just served a 4-game suspension last season for drugs. And you're going to do it again. Now, if this is a problem, like a drinking problem, like any other drug problem, you hope this young man goes and gets the help that he needs. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are saying you can't get addicted to weed. Yeah, you really can. You really can get addicted to weed. Especially it really depends on the chemicals in your brain, what type of mindset you have. You can really get addicted. I know someone who is addicted to it. I do. So I have close personal experience with it. So you can become addicted to this. You can become addicted to anything. It's just like some people get addicted to shopping. Some people get addicted to alcohol. Some people get addicted to other meds. Things like you can become addicted if you have that type of chemical imbalance in your brain. So if he is addicted to this stuff, I'm hoping he goes and gets the proper help to make sure that he breaks this habit. But if he is not, and he's just doing it because he has the money, he has the time to do so, then I have no sympathy for him. You brought this on your damn self, and you're damn stupid for it. You just pissed away a year's worth of NFL paychecks. You just pissed away a year of your promising NFL career on a temporary high. You've just flushed all that down the toilet for a year for that temporary moment of time where you feel like you're floating above the clouds. Or so I've heard. Because I never touched the stuff, never tried it, have no interest in doing it. I don't understand how you don't understand what you have. You have an NFL career, one that was beginning to flourish, one that was going to continue to evolve and turn into something even more lucrative than it already is. Because remember, folks, he's on a rookie contract right now. Had he not done this, he would have come back for his third season. He would have been more involved in the offense. I think he would have had an even better season. You're building yourself into a big time player. You're building yourself into being able to provide for your family for many years to come. a promising, flourishing NFL career, and you decide to blaze up, be stupid for 45 minutes to an hour, however long the crap lasts, and piss away a year's worth of your paychecks from the NFL, as well as a year of your promising career down the toilet, all off of that feeling. If he is not addicted to this stuff, if there is no actual addiction, there is no chemical imbalance in his brain that makes him addicted to this stuff, then I have absolutely no sympathy for this dude. You've done this 2 years in a row. They caught you up the first time and said, don't do this again. You're out for 4 games this year. Next time it's a year. You ain't getting paid. You do this again, you ain't getting paid. You're gone for a year. Don't do it again. And you went and did it again. Why would I ever have sympathy for somebody like that? Get your mess together. You are one of the few who is blessed enough to play this game at its highest level and be paid handsomely for it. Do you know how many people would kill to have your position, to be in an offense like that, to have your skill set, your height? Do you know how many people would kill for that? Do you know how many people want to be in your spot? And you decide to not just piss it away, smoke it away. If you need the help, go and get the help, and I hope you overcome it. But if this was just something you usually do with your boys, because you got the time and the resources to do it, and you can give a damn about it, you know when they testing, you can get away with it, but instead you've been caught 2 times in a row, I have no sympathy for you. Get your mess together. Let's talk about some more NFL stupidity. Let's go there. Let's talk about some more NFL stupidity. Let's talk about how the NFL finally copped to their lie. Some of you are kind of scratching your head. Some of you have heard about it. Some of you may have forgotten about it. Some of you may have not heard about it. But your boy T Squared is here to tell you that the NFL finally copped up to their lie. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Jeff Miller, who is the senior VP of Health and Safety for the NFL, during a roundtable discussion with the U.S. House of Representatives, the Energy and Commerce Committee, more specifically, he was asked if the link between football and neurodegenerative diseases such as CTE has been established. Miller's response? The answer to that question is certainly yes. Let me repeat that again. The answer to that question is certainly yes. So all these times where Goodell and other guys came out, there hasn't been any link. There hasn't been any connection made. There damn well has been, and you guys have been lying about it. Now, this is nothing new to us cynical folks. We knew they were lying about it. Hey, they came out with a movie about Dr. Omalu called Concussion, where he proved the link, but yet they wanted to continue to lie about it. But now they finally copped to it. That's the first thing that pisses me off. The second thing is this, and I don't know how many people know this, but player insurance for players who retire from the NFL lasts 5 years after they retire. All right, so 5 years after their playing days are over, they still continue to get NFL insurance. After that, they're on their own. More times than not, the effects of playing this game at its highest level or in however long you've played it really don't take effect until 8-10 years down the road. So they know good and damn well that there's going to be effects, and they don't want to pay for any of it. Hey, here's your 5 years. If anything happens after that, well, you made enough money, you're on your own. Because they know damn well there's going to be effects down the road further than 5 years. I mean, not only did you lie about this, you still refuse to take care of the men who helped you amass your $12 billion a year. This is a $12 billion a year company, the NFL is. $12 billion with a B. $12 billion a year. These men go and put their bodies and their lives on the line on every Sunday, every Monday, every Thursday, and sometimes Saturday to amass your $12 billion. And you can't even take care of them after they've given you everything that their body has to offer. after going into collision after collision after collision. And don't get me wrong. These men know what they sign up for. And I can guarantee you, if you ask a lot of these football players, not all of them, but a lot of them, they'll go back and say, hey, would you do it again? They'd say yes. Mark Schlereth had a perfect line for that. He said, you got to be a little bit touched to play this game anyway. And I agree. It takes a special kind of player to go and play this game, especially at its highest level. That's why there aren't that many that can do it. But these men put their lives on the line. They sacrifice time with their families to go and get themselves in the best possible shape, to go out there and study the most game tape, to go out there and be the best at their position each and every single week, each and every single game. And you can't even take care of them. And then when you see the problems and the repercussions of them going out there putting their bodies on the line, and you understand that there's a serious problem that's causing some of these men after they retire to have such traumatic brain trauma that they go and kill themselves or hurt other people. When you know that there's a link between this game and that, you turn a blind eye because you look to that $12 billion that's being amassed. You lied to everybody. You lied to everybody. And for what? To line the pockets with billions of dollars while these men suffer for the rest of their lives. I love this game, but it's garbage like this that makes you a little bit ashamed that you do. This is Toss. All right, y'all, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This was episode 26 of Toss. Finally got through 26 after that snafu last week. Again, we apologize, but we're here for you each and every single Wednesday with fresh heat out of the kitchen. If you know how to get a hold of me on Facebook, it's facebook.com/TON That's TON Sports Show. You know the liveliness called Twitter. You know how they get a hold of me there as well at D20Double on Twitter. That's at D20Double on Twitter. Don't be afraid to tweet me. Live games, debates, controversy, retweets, whatever you like. We got it on there at D20Double on Twitter. You know we're available on Libsyn. That's Toss Show, TOSSSHOW.libsyn, LIBSYN.com, tossshow.libsyn.com. Go back and listen to each and every single episode of Toss ever made. We're also available on iTunes. We're also available on Stitcher for all of my Android people, so there is no reason for you not to make some time to play some Toss. But, as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is T Squared, Tristain Thomas, reminding all of you that dreams don't catch themselves. Get up, get out, and get after it. Until next week, so long from Toss.